afternoon, everybody. This is Jared Rand. This is I guess we can call it progression call for the structure of the projects that each of you are passionately committed to, and as a suggestive layout for everybody. And we started this, a lot of people started this journey with liquidity long time ago. I mean, some people with the prosperity packages, Omega and Eagle and all, going way, way, way back, 30 years or more. And then, of course, transition into the paper, the currencies, the bonds, those types of things. Now, I understand. I think a lot of you do, because you've heard, you've listened to so many different information sources through the years about this and that, this and that. When you see a progression, obviously, hopefully, you have, your consciousness aware. So you think for yourself, lead yourself, guide yourself, so govern yourself. So you look at this, and you got to just eliminate everything going on around you, and focus on. Okay, so the part of you becoming hydrated is inevitability. Okay, so you take that, you move it aside, and then you start to say, okay, now let's get down to brass nails and tacks. Let's see what I must do, that I decide to do, to start structuring and disciplining my different projects. So then I take my projects and I categorize them. Some of you have them written, you have business proposals and everything. That's great. But here's a key factor. In the beginning, everybody was looking at the paper, the currencies, the bonds, okay, and they were looking at, okay, how much did I get? What are the rate exchanges and so on, and up and down, all kinds of things, all everywhere, so on and so forth. Well, I'll tell you one thing, that none of you are going to be disappointed on your when you actually physically enter the exchange process. Okay, I'll guarantee you that you'll look at the screen rate and you'll go, that's absolutely more than enough, that's fine. Now, it's really difficult to understand of what we have all committed to doing. Now, I know, you make a commitment about something, you follow through with it, but you move on beyond that, because then you start looking at, and you do, okay, want to look at this beforehand. You do want to do this. Now, there's a lot of, guessing, because you really don't know. You don't know, what the cost factor is going to be for what your priority projects are, all right? Because you categorize them. You prioritize your projects. Which one is closest to your God heart, your heart-mind? Which one or grouping of those that you want to put front and center and launch? Those are important. You have others, obviously, because you keep going. Your imagination, you keep creating, and you go. You'll be talking with someone and say, something that I got an idea for another project, and then you scribble it down on your project notebook. You have a notebook, and all it is just projects, humanitarian aid and projects, humanitarian relief. Label it any way you want. But all your ideas, all your thoughts go into that project's notebook. And it's like your journal of projects. And any thought that you get, you write it in there. Doesn't matter what it is. You could be just driving one day and say, that's a good idea. You won't retain it. It'll slip away because other things will take you away. So that's why as soon as you get those thoughts, put them in there. Put them in that project book, so that you have them, okay? And you can refer back to them, and then your imagination, everything will start expanding. So you categorize your projects. You've got the ones closest to your heart, And then you've got others, they're still important, but they're not the primers. They're not the ones that you really want to get going. And you know which ones those are because of the fact of how you feel about them. How you feel about them. You understand, this is a new way of thinking in this transition for this planet. It isn't the old way, okay? It really isn't. The money that has been afforded to this population that will soon start flooding a handful of people. People, there's like 30 million. There's only so many that really have authentic paper and bonds. And they will process. Whether you're in another country, same thing there. It's the same. It is symmetrical. It is cookie cutter in all countries, in all those who are carrying paper. So you got to get that out there. It's not like, the U.S. has got everything. What are we going to do? And that's not the case. It's all structured. It's all in place. So people in China will be able to exchange. People in Japan, people everywhere. There will be exchange centers, and they'll be able to go in and transact. You see, this is global. It's not just America. It's not just a bunch of American people who are going to get a bunch of money, and that's it. It's for the whole population of the planet. So strategically, there are people who are stewards across the planet that have committed the responsibility of having this kind of wealth. So you realize that, okay, it's a done deal. You don't even need to occupy your mind with what if it does, what if it doesn't, okay? It is a done deal. It is done. And it will start surfacing. Now, I'll tell you, I'll also share with all of you that the debt elimination has already begun. I have people who have contacted me in a confidential manner, who have shared with me, and all this means is that you just kind of kick back and let it start to get out there. You don't go nuts and say, when's it going to happen for me, and why hasn't it happened for me? It is bit by bit so that the public doesn't go freaky. They say, well, if you did it all at once. So you do it a little bit subtly. So, all of a sudden you check you say your credit card balance. All right? Say you're on, like a lot of people, you're just scraping to keep the credit card available with not much money. So I got to make that minimum payment, okay? And you find out that it's all gone. Zeroed out. No debt. I understand it's a one-time deal. So you got to use discretion for yourself that you don't go, geez, I had a $23,000 amount on my credit card, and I maxed it out, and now it's all gone, and it's open. I can use it. Yeah, well, that's tempting, isn't it? So you got to remember is that it's a learning experience. You got to decide on what you're going to do. And those people who aren't going to be hydrated immediately, only through those carrying paper will they be hydrated. So the debt relief has already started in this country, and it's testaments of people who have already experienced it. All right. Now, a lot of people thought that this stuff was going to be like blasted in your face. Okay. Well, when you look at the climate of the situation of our country, you start to understand that it can't be done that way. And you guys also know, okay, of our brothers and sisters who are in bicameral mode, they just are not going to adjust well to that right away, because then they'll go, I think you can understand the fabric and how it's put together. Especially of those you're currently interacting with, that you're trying to, you try to get information to, and they just look at you like, what planet are you from type thing. So there's a reason why this is happening the way it is. Now, I know a lot of perspectives have said the opposite, but that's not the case. So people are slowly across the country experiencing the elimination of debt. And that's going to continue. So it's going to be like a Christmas. You just, don't, a lot of people will just be checking it every hour on the hour, which which is just ridiculous, but that's their choice. To see if it's happened there. Or they'll call their creditors and say, how come I haven't been zeroed out? And the creditors will act like they don't even know what the heck you're talking about. Okay? So it's futile. Believe me, it's futile. It's been engineered to be that way. Okay? So it's a gift. And that's just the beginning of it. So just so everybody knows, that's happening. Okay? It is happening. In addition to that, you're already seeing things happen. You're already seeing them in plain view. It's gradualization. Use the same method they used against us to keep us dumbed down. And if you have a civilization and you want to get things accomplished, even nefarious ones like the corrupted souls have done, then you do it through gradualization. Civilization isn't even aware that these subtle changes are taking place. Little bit at a time. Little sip at a time. Doesn't disturb you. Doesn't cause people to get up in arms. They just kind of accept it. Okay? And that's what they've done for decades in this country and across the planet in other countries. So you begin to realize that, okay, what are we doing? Gradualization. This civilization is in a delicate condition. And so you have to really be careful on how you introduce an entirely new world, a uplifting, positive existence compared to the slave structure that we've been used to being in this third density. So just remember that it's gradualization on some fronts. The only reason that this hydration process for the handful of people that are carrying paper or currency or bonds, authentic ones, the reason this is absolutely taken, seems like people a lifetime, is because of the fact that, do you want to be safe? That's the question. Do you want or desire to be safe? That's a big question, isn't it? Okay? What's more important to you? Well-being and being safe, or being wealthy and not being safe? So you understand that there's a transition here where the governments of this planet, which will not be governments much longer, and I'm not saying all the people in those governments are corrupted souls. I'm just saying those that are in the highest amount of power are corrupted souls. So they don't care to have the people of planet Earth to inherit wealth. They don't. That's just not how this Draco world was structured. It was structured to keep the majority of the people of the planet in slavery, in debt, and in total control and fear. And that's being eliminated. Okay? And no matter what they do, they can't stop it. So you begin to realize that gradualization is the only way. It's the only way. You know, you guys are clear on a lot of things, so you know you kind of have a good idea what's going on. So you're not sitting around pining away, wondering when you're going to have wealth. You already know you have wealth. All you got to do now is understand that you're going to go and exchange it safely. There's a lot of corrupted souls that are aware of this whole transaction. And you've got to understand that you are number one priority is safety. That's it. That's all. Everything else is taken care of. It's just a safety issue. Okay? You don't care to have people do things, or you're not really aware, but you may be aware, but you don't know. And so anyway, you'll go in and you'll transact in the places that no one would expect that they would be places to transact. That's part of the security and safety and the well-being of each one carrying the paper to transact with. So everything has begun. Understand that. Okay? Not like you wanted it to. Not like you were told it was going to. And that's nothing against anybody that's given out information through the years to any populace whatsoever here, period. Okay? It just means that have you ever noticed that if you have expectations and attachments to something, it doesn't seem to work the way you want it to, say, because you aren't going with the flow, and you've surrendered your expectations and attachments. You just know deep in your heart, and that's why this is happening. That it's flowing, it's going on right now. You're not going to announce this. This is not something that you want every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the planet knowing about. You just don't. That's suicide. Imagine how difficult that is. You've got to keep it at a level that only a few know about, and then those that get wind of it don't believe it anyway. Okay. And you've all experienced that if you've opened up your mouth and said something about it. They don't believe it anyway. Okay? It's absurd. That'll never happen. You were scammed. You've heard it all. Okay? But you've hung in there. So the fact of the matter is that you've got a little time here. Okay? So your structuring is paramount. All right? The money end is taken care of. The projects you've got, okay, you have them, and some of you have been real finite, real anal about putting things together, and that's great. Preparing and preparing and preparing. But here's the bottom line. You have the greatest project on the face of the planet. How? Now let's just say Judy Smith, right? And Judy has three major projects that are close to her heart that she wants to engage. She wants to get those projects up and running. Now, how are you going to do it? Do you have a network of people? Are you able to network those people who are people that have certain abilities in certain areas that you require that assistance from? Right? What about your municipalities? What about the areas that you will be performing the project? What about the coding and the different regulations, which you'll have to deal with to begin with? So you've got all these things. Now, honestly, think about this. When you receive wealth, it's going to take you a bit to adjust to it. You're not going to do it overnight. I'll guarantee you that. You may think you will, but emotionally, it's going to take a bit to adjust and balance yourself, okay? And then and one way to help you with that is to know you're a steward, okay? You yourself will be taken care of for thousands of lifetimes. That isn't even a concern. It's gone. Any worry, stress, fear about your financial well-being is out the window. It's gone permanently. Eventually, the whole planet, it'll be gone permanently. But you guys are the starters. You're the pioneers. Why do you think you're still in this? Why do you think all the emotional ups and downs, all the tests that you've had, all right, all the doubts, all the depression and then the ups and, the downs, all the things emotionally that you've experienced, some of you for years, some of you the last few months. I mean, come on. Do you think that that's some kind of what they call coincidence, which doesn't exist? No, it's not. It's intended to really, really see which one of you is truly committed and is not just like the old world was, just to have a lot of money. This is important. Now, how would you do that with a handful of people, so many million people? All right? How would you do it? You do it subtly. And you see how many stick to it through thick and thin, committed. People living in in their cars, under overpasses, in hotel rooms, carrying currency. Why? Why wouldn't they just throw it away or sell it? Burn it? Because they know in their heart of hearts, in their God heart, their heart-mind, they know that this is real. They understand that it isn't a joke or some type of scam or bad guy trap. So they know, inherently, are aware that it's real. That's why they do that. Why else would you do that? Why would any of us put ourselves through all of that? Because what? It's not the hope. It's not the hope, okay? It may be some faith, but it's basically you and your heart mind that understands this is real. It doesn't matter what anybody tells me. I know that this is real and that this is going to transpire. I can feel it in my heart mind. I know it within my God. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need anybody to tell you it's real. It's how you feel. So all of those tests, challenges, obstacles that you've experienced are for a reason. Okay? And so then you realize you've been going through a filter process. And sure, there's those that have burned it, and, sold it, and just gave up and thought it was all, junk, crap, whatever. Give it away, the whole 9 yards. So now you need people. First it was the money. Everybody was talking about the money. Then it went to the projects. And everybody's been talking about the projects, right? Even some of these private groups are now being told that, look, 80% of all of this wealth must go for humanitarian aid and projects. And I'm going to tell you why. The amount of money, and we're in the money for time ban on this planet, the money system. It's unfathomable, really, how much is needed. It really is. It's just off the charts, period. It's off the charts. You're looking at an infrastructure that is so corrupted that must be totally vaporized. I mean, seriously, totally vaporized. And then from the ground up, we will build a God planet paradise in a high frequency of 5D. So, you need people. And you're going to need lots of people, brothers and sisters. You're going to need people that are awake, somewhat. You're going to need people who are on the same page. That's a little bit different, isn't it? I'm not just talking about every Tom, Dick, and Harry who may be an engineer, technician, supervisor, administrator, human resources personnel. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that are awake. And you go, oh, geez, that's really great. How many people are awake? More than you think. Because you're going to see a lot of people that will wake up and surprise you. This is something I've, quietly been thinking about wanting to do for a very long time, and now you're asking me. You may know some people. You may know some people, in your family, friends, whatever, that have certain skills. You're going to need them. You're not like a big corporation. You know how long it would take you, realistically, how long it would take you to form a 1 million employee company? Think about it now. Look through history of the companies that started from scratch and how long it took them to grow and advance and everything. And their employee base kept growing. Those are the realities, say. So you're aware. Do you want to have all of this wealth and then be hit upside the face with the starkness of how in the heck am I going to staff all this? Okay? Because every project will expand, I guarantee you. Every project close to your heart that you start is going to expand. It's an inevitability. It'll start small, but then you'll have other ideas that you can literally segue and connect off of that heartfelt project. So you'll expand it out. You don't know that right now, but you've allowed your imagination to get to the point to have the project. Now you're going to expand imagination even further out, which is going to be absolutely spectacular. But then you've got to have some kind of a ground rules for yourself of understanding, so you're not caught in the lurch. Okay? It's great to have a lot of wealth. It's great to have a project, but how are you going to outfit it? How do you go about interviewing people? How do you know which ones are right for the position, which ones aren't? You know? How are you going to pay them? How are you going to pay them? How are you going to benefit them? All these things that, they're there right away. You've got to have your core group of people that you can assign so that you can safely and securely launch your project. Okay? So, this is where your thinking, you might want to have your thinking at this stage there. You might just want to have it there. So, it's not overwhelming. It's not meant to be. Okay? It's just one step at a time. One foot in front of the other. So, now, also, are you going to really want people to know what what you're holding? No, you're not. You're just not. Okay? You want to make sure that everybody is a team together on this equal, on the same level. Yes, everybody possesses different skill sets, so on and so forth. But you work together as a team, not somebody up in an ivory tower office directing all the minions down below. That's the old world. That will not work in a higher frequency environment. It just won't. Where you've got employees that are tired, fatigued, I'm so glad it's Friday. Instead of saying, I wish it would never end, I'm having such a good time. That's the new world. That's the new structure that is going to be introduced to all the employees, all the people. And are you going to have them on a payroll? No, you're going to contract them. Why would you want people on a payroll? Why would you want to have employees, period? You contract them. Now think about this and the sense it makes for you to expedite the launch of your project that's going to be beneficial to wherever it's going, whatever its effects are going to be on the populace, however it's going to help humanity. That's what you're looking at. Okay? We're not talking about cutting corners. We're not talking about being in a hurry. The fact of the matter is that what you do is you say, okay, there's me. Right now, most of you, there's just you. That's it. There's anybody else. Now, you've got ideas of other people and stuff and this and that. But doesn't it make sense that you have a beginning summary of your directives? Okay? The money's going to be there. I'm going to have the wealth. I've got the project. It's in my heart, mind. Now, right now, guys, probably should have done this a while ago, but you've got enough time here to adjust, to understand that, okay, who do I need for my core people? Who am I going to go to that I don't have those skills? They do. So I'm going to rely on them, and then I'll learn from them, but I also want to rely on them to literally carry out these different avenues for my project. Now, even if it's a home care facility, you're still going to have the same issues. You're still going to have the same, no matter if it's real tiny and small, you're still going to have people that are on the same page as you in most ways, and that have skill sets that you do not have. That's all there is to it. So what you'll do is that you'll pick out, depending on what your project is, and direct certain people. You'll identify them, and you might want to put down what their function is. Do you want a title? It's up to you. You entitle them, categorize them, and then know, because you know your project, you know it. So it's pretty easy to be able to say, I'm going to need this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. That's how all businesses begin. Okay? Now, at first they don't know. You guys are all entrepreneurial, and you really, it's not like you got a crystal ball. But your intent's good, so you say, all right, I need 6 people that have these skills. That's what you do. That's how you start it. So you write them down in your project manual or your project journal for humanity, and you write them down. It says, I'm going to need a person. I'm going to need an individual, someone who does this and has this and has this. Right off the bat, I'm going to need these people. So then, guess what? Now you have a foundation because you're starting to move. You're not looking behind you. You're not focused on, when am I going to get the money? When am I going to get the money? When am I going to get the money? I can't do anything without the money. That's crap, because you've got to do things, lay the groundwork now, instead of waiting until you get the money, because things are going to change very rapidly. And you'll be surprised how you'll feel scattered and you don't feel you have enough time because of your excitement, enthusiasm, and also emotionally adjusting to that kind of wealth. Because it's an inevitability, okay? It's not, there's no exceptions. It's an inevitability. And it'll affect your personality. It'll affect your character. It'll affect your perspectives. It'll affect you emotionally. It is all there. These are all the things that we don't think about until after the fact. Doesn't it make sense to be somewhat with yourself, somewhat aware of these? They're not doomy, gloomy, overpowering, but they are things that you're aware of. So you don't have any attachments to them. You have no expectations. You just go with the flow, and everything will fall into place for you. If you have a situation that arises in the beginning that you weren't expecting, comes out of the clear blue, you go with the flow. You don't get upset about it. You just go with the flow, and you help others do the same. It doesn't mean that you have a staffed project and everybody's kind of like loony walking around bumping into walls because they're so melancholy. I don't mean that. You carry out things, but you don't have expectations. We'll get this done. It's no big deal. Here's one of the assignments I need to have you and Jane do. Please, okay, if you have any, can you do it? Oh, absolutely. All right. Let's do a layout and a project grouping so that we know exactly the specifics on our task, on what we need to take care of. And understand that these people will enjoy doing it. They won't look at it as like work or as a burden, period. So it's people. That's what this is. All your projects, how are you going to do a project? You don't have the right people. You're not going to be able to do it. No matter how much you love it and really want to help the civilization, you're not going to do it by yourself. You develop a family, a team that's going to help you do it, help you carry it out. And this is where communication, interaction, one-on-one communication, not through cell phones and iPads and computers, one-on-one communication. So your core group, your launch team, is going to be selected by you. Okay? Now, another thing that you're going to probably, want to do, go to a small business association. There are in most towns across the country, little universities and community colleges and stuff, where there's a group of retired people that help people that are looking at an entrepreneurial endeavor, a humanitarian project, so on and so forth. They give you good advice. When one of my brothers was when he left UPS, he wanted to, he wanted to train kids on how to drive defensively. And so I helped him. He didn't have any clue. He was corporatized, so he didn't have the confidence that he could do it. So I sent him to a small business association at a small university outside of his town. And so he went in there and he started talking with these people and started getting ideas, started understanding, and before you knew it, he had his first defensive driving school. And now he's got 3. And he loves it. It's not work for him, it's a joy. So someone that had no clue and ended up where he's at right now, having fun. So you realize that you guys, it's no different. And some people say, well, I I've never had to really manage people. I've never really had to hire people. So, I don't have those skills. No, you don't. But you start from the beginning, one step at a time. Only start with your core group. Your launch team. That's what you're looking at. Your launch team. You got to find out who the people are that you've got to talk with, interact with, and you pick up ideas. What you don't know, you go to people who do. Okay? And it's all around you. So it's not like you're going to not have that opportunity, but you're going to need to know how to communicate. If you're afraid of people and you've got situations going on and you've got this wonderful project that you want to launch, you're going to have people, and that's bottom line. If you don't have those people, what do you think you're going to do? You're not going to get anywhere with your projects. So that's the phase we're at. We're at the people phase, all right? First it was the money, all right? First it was in your own heart knowing that that's real, knowing that that's going to take place, all right? Now, once you determine that, you just take that. That's the first thing, and you put it aside. Then you move to what? You guys follow this because this is what's happened. This is how it's matured. Now you go to projects, all right? Then you begin to understand this isn't about me being wealthy. This is about me helping the rest of the civilization become wealthy. That's what it's about. You're taken care of as soon as you exchange. That's a no-brainer, okay? But you begin to realize that I'm a steward for this wealth. My commitment. It's a responsibility. A lot of people are going to have a difficult time taking on that responsibility once they get heavily seated in it. So you really think about it. It isn't doom and gloom. This is the most exciting time ever in your entire existence. So you look at it from the perspective of saying, okay, so I need a launch team. I have to have a launch team. And so you break up the disciplines of what you believe will be needed to launch your project. Okay? And then you put them together. And then you're able to discuss things. Now, you're not going to sit there and tell them, oh, I'm just loaded, don't worry about it, we're all covered, I'm a gazillionaire. That's not the point. Because when you talk with these people, they're already going to understand that you wouldn't be talking with them unless you were fully hydrated. Okay? So you don't put the cart before the horse. So then you assemble your launch team. And it's really easy to do that because you categorize you specifically, and then you intend, and then I guarantee the universe will start providing people, they'll start falling in place, they'll start going in conversation, everything. Would you like to meet for coffee? All right. Always operate, okay, as your authenticity. Not trying to be something you're not trying to communicate things that you don't understand just yet, but be yourself. It's not about, it's also working from a level of strength. It's about you understanding that when you're talking to Alice and you're having coffee or tea, whatever, and Alice has certain skills and you ended up talking with her because you were interested in bringing her on as your launch team for your humanitarian project. And you're not going to sit there and say, oh, I have no clue. I'm totally lost. I never knew it was going to be this difficult. You're going to say, this project is close to my heart. It's very important to me that I am able to do this right. Now, I know what it is. I know what it can do. And I'm assembling my launch team. And that's why I'm talking with you right now. Okay? So you're not some major corporation. You're you. And that's it. And so you speak from a position of confidence through the heart-mind. And mutually respecting them. And you communicate with them is that, I am looking for someone who has the abilities that you have. And the reason is because I have this one particular slot, position, responsibility in my launch team for my humanitarian project. And this is the project. This is what we're going to be doing. That's what you do. So you watch them respond. So you tell them, okay? And then you let them talk. That's it. You do an introduction, okay? And then you let them talk. And ask them, how do you, what's your feelings about what I've just shared with you? How do you feel about that with your abilities? Do you believe that you can assist me, help me, along with our other launch team members? And what do you think? Most people are going to tell you what they think they can do, and if they're interested, okay? Because understand something, that there'll be contracting firms across this country that will be so busy it's going to be unreal. Because they do exist. You don't need to be you don't need to know about contracting. You have to know where to go to hire a contracting company that does that professionally. See, they will provide the staffing, but you can interview people on your own for your launch team, okay? In fact, you can call the contracting company and say, I need to meet with this, and this person. They send you the resumes, they send you their background check, the whole 9 yards. So a lot of the legwork is done for you. All you do is make the evaluation, are you compatible? These people are going to be people that will work closely with you. So you got to be compatible, all right? You can't be in a situation where you dislike them. That's a recipe for disaster. So they've got to be able to naturally like you and you like them, okay? And that's why you're developing a family, a team, long term, because eventually, where are those people going to go? Now, if you have other projects, where do you think they're going to end up? They're going to become extensions of you. They're going to become extensions of you. You see how important the initial launch is of people? You develop, you set up your launch team. You go after contracting. And we'll have other calls that will provide contracting companies that you can go to. Agencies that will provide the people in your description, where you'll go meet with the leaders of that company and express to them what you are looking for. You don't need to be categorized in engineering. You don't need to have 4 PhDs and a bachelor's and a master's, a grad and undergrad. None of that. It is your project. You are laying the groundwork. And you're learning from everybody around you and see how you assimilate it. No, that's, because understand, we're going to be in a whole different vernacular, a whole different world, and we're already in it, and we're going to be launching these into a much higher frequency. All right? So all of this, you start thinking about this without being miscombobulated, without being stressed and worried in a hurry, because you've dropped your expectations and you have dropped your attachments. So you go with the flow, and you interview people and talk with people. You're only looking for just your launch team. And you look at that and you understand that these people are going to represent me, and they're also going to represent themselves, and they're also going to be extensions of me. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to find out real quick, you are not going to be able to do it all. No way, Jose. Now, I don't care if you're a bazillion multitasker, photographic memory, everything. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself. You will have to have confidants. You'll have to have people that you choose that can be long-term, where you guys grow together, all right, and experience together. None of this crap in the old world. That just does not work. So this is a whole different understanding. And it's fun. Okay? If you're not having fun with something, why are you doing it? Well, I need to make the money. Well, let's help you find some that you will enjoy doing, period. Money's automatic. So it's all going to shift. It just the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of this planet for the first time ever to the people of planet Earth, Gaia Arya. It's unprecedented. Because you know what, guys? Unless they're liberated, most planets are in the same position. They've got a dictatorship government. They have really no freedom. They're kept in fear, frustration, anxiety, and anger, separation, agitation, manipulation. It goes on and on and on. This is over here. All that crap's over. And all we're witnessing are the last screams and gasps for air of the corrupted souls. That's it. That's what's really going on. Standpoint of having projects. And now you're at the phase of laying out your design of your launch team. That's it, your launch team. Okay? Now, there's other people out there that know you and you know them, but they don't have currency or bonds. All right? So what that means is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Because all of us will be the hydrators of the rest of the population. And through jobs and in the new structure of occupations. Not the old. It's totally different. Completely in different environment and direction. So it doesn't matter. Well, people say, well, I don't have any currency. So that's a big deal. There's many stewards that will see to it that the hydration of the planet will continue across the globe. And there's people in different countries that have been selected, whether they know it or not, that will be carrying wealth. And they'll begin to distribute. Sure, there's going to be people that will get off the beaten path, okay? That's pretty normal. But if they go into an abusive situation, they won't have that wealth anymore. Period. Okay? So that's all been engineered and designed. No loopholes, no breaking points. So basically, your launch team, you're in the money, the project, now the launch team. That's it. So what we're going to do is, if anybody has any questions, we'll just go into a little Q&A. And if anybody has any questions, they can come into the Q&A and ask questions. And remember, you guys have been muted, so make sure that you're unmuted and stuff, because when I call on you, sometimes people don't hear because they're muted, period. Okay.
Hello, brother. How are you?
How you doing, William?
Good. I know there's no timing. I guess it's just going to somehow get notified to go somewhere.
Yeah, I think if everybody drops their expectations, things will flow. There's no way that any of you are going to not have access to the routing number, because that's what it is. It's a routing number. Okay? You're not, and that's the only way to do it. Okay?
Right.
You have a secure website. You go to the website. You don't give it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's the responsibility of everybody that's carrying currency. You go to a secure website. You get the routing number, which is a phone number. You call it. You go, my name is so-and-so. You live in whatever part of the country or what near city or whatever. You don't have to give them your exact location, just so they know that what region you're in, so that they can direct you to the call center and the appointment structure of that facility in your area. Okay? The call you make is not going to set up everything for you. They're going to direct you to the nearest transaction center. Could be 50 miles, could be 80 miles. You just don't know. Some of you might have to drive further. It just depends on the location and the population. So that's what will happen, and then when you go in, they'll just ask that you'll sit down. They'll have a De La Rue machine. You'll be pretty private. You're not going to be in a big bullhorn area. And you'll just sit down, and they'll say, okay, so you just take your currency out and make sure it's separated. You don't have it all lumped together. And, everything's pleasant, and they'll just run it through the machine while you're talking. And they'll have it all ready. It'll all be counted up, tallied, totaled, each denomination, each currency, bond. And then they'll give you separate screenshots. They'll just show you, here's the current rate, currently, of this currency. All right? Is that acceptable to you? Now, when you calculate it, they'll show you the total of that particular currency, at that particular rate, and what it's going to be for you. I'll guarantee you, most of the people will sit there and go, holy moly. See, it's really funny. When everybody is anticipating and expecting, say, that's fun, right? But I'm going to tell you, and I think everybody's experienced this, when it's the real deal and you're actually there, it's going to be a different ballgame, emotionally for you, okay? Because you're going to be saying, I know, in your heart, you're going to be saying to yourself, it's really here. I'm really doing this. This is unreal. And then when you see the wealth on the screen in black and white for the first time ever, real deal, it's going to blow you away. It will blow you away. And everybody will be different. They respond differently. Some people will just be numb and act like they're catatonic and just kind of go through the steps and get things done. Others will just go, what? Everybody has a different response. So, again, what you'll do, you go to a secure website. Right? Why is it secure? Well, come on, guys. If they throw this out there everywhere, it'll clog up the system because you'll have every nutcase on the planet calling it because someone says, oh, you can get money here. And we all know how that works. I've used Mary, starts off with a sprained ankle in her neighborhood, and the rest of the neighborhood says, well, she's in a body cast in intensive care that night. So you got to understand the temperature and the climate of other people and the population. And then it starts to fall in place for you. You go to a secured website. How am I going to get the website address? You'll get it. Guaranteed. Okay? You'll get it. Don't even worry about it. And then you'll go there. Well, what's on the website? Am I going to have to go here and do this and everything? Nope. It'll be right there. Currency holders call this number. Yeah, go ahead.
The other question, my team that I put together already and kind of waiting, I gave them all my Vietnamese dong as like their signing bonus to start my team up. So, how do I? As a recommendation, you should have done.
What? You should have kept it and then given them a boost amount bonus or something that you could just have given to them after your transactions.
Well, I could probably get it back from them all if I need to. They're all.
I mean, but the point is that now you've done that. Now they're currency exchangers. Okay?
Right.
So they will go in and exchange.
Right.
So for all of just for everybody else out there, you do what you want to do. But as a suggestion, keep your currency unless it's for a donation to another project or something. But keep your currency to individuals, all right, that you're going to have involved with your team. Give them the real money. They don't necessarily have to transact. It just fills up the pipeline more if you do it that way. But it lightens it if you say, look, and you don't even have to tell them. You say, there'll be some compensation for you once I transact. Or you might even want to say, once I am fluid. Okay? And that's happening. So but now they'll transact. That's fine. They'll transact and they'll have the funds and whatever.
Nobody knows they have it except me. So that's why I was asking.
Well, that's good. Potential. That's it. Look what's happened to some of the lottery winners in this country through the years. It's because every time Dick and Harry be on the phone trying to get you, they find out you have wealth, they'll come out of the woodwork.
We're sorry, but some participants may be experiencing temporary audio issues. Our teams are working to resolve this as quickly as possible.
And we're being listened to, obviously. So, you got to be careful on what we say. Anyway.
That's all I was kind of asking, because I could get it all back and do it the other way, or I have to get them the number or give the people I exchange with each one of their names.
Well, what you can really do, Bill, is if they want to transact, then they'll get a number and they'll transact.
Okay.
That's it. But they aren't. You aren't interested in telling every Tom, Dick, and Harry that you've transacted and you've got money.
No.
Your whole life changes. Everybody carrying currency, your life is going to change forever. No matter if you think it is or not, it will. It's automatic.
It's going to change.
So, you won't, honestly, you won't be thinking about the wealth. You'll be thinking about a lot of other things. So.
All right.
Sounds like it. Okay. Much love to you.
Much love.
Olympia.
Hi, Jared.
How you doing?
I am doing great today. Right now.
Good.
Yeah. Let's see. Thank you, first of all, for this call. It has been very, very helpful. I know my question has to do probably with something that is near and dear to a lot of people on this call, and that is the celestial chamber. My first and foremost priority is to get celestial chamber healing centers going, and as many as I can afford. How is that going to? Is that something that is going to go through your team?
Well, if there's a lot of people that want to, donate to support the celestial chamber. So
yes.
Understand
Well,
I've shared on some of my, just about a lot of my calls with FESIG and others, is that some people just want to donate. Okay, others are compelled and want to be somehow involved with it. They want to donate, but they also want to be involved with it. So we have people that will donate, and then we will talk with them about their skill sets on what they think they would like to do. Now, we do have people, because of their passion and their heart and their frequency, that will be on a team, and this is going to be the pioneering team for the celestial chamber. And then they're going to be extended to the other technologies. So that's going to be our master core group in counseling or communication for each one that goes into the chamber, because so you can see how the mix is. You've got people that say, I'm going to donate. I want to donate to help you get this thing up and running. And I got other people who want to donate, but I also think I really would like to, have one. I would like to have it in my project and my healing center or here and it's all over the world. I mean, I talk with people in China. I talk with people in Japan. I talk with people all over the world that have this same passion to help their brothers and sisters, and that's eventually have it. So this core group that we will have will be those who will sit down, no exceptions, with everybody, okay? And they'll talk with them before they go into that room, okay? They'll talk with them. I had one of her brothers tell me today that, you could come out like the human fly, like that old 50s movie, that you're turned into a fly. And people will, it's just human nature to just start going, it's real. This is real. I'm actually going to be going in this thing, And people get apprehensive, just like when we go to a dentist, some of us freak out. Just like when we go to the doctor, some of us end up with blood pressure up through the roof. It's just how we respond because we're so sensitive to all the frequencies. So that's why we will have this group that can sit, soft-spoken people, firm, strong, loving, right through their heart minds, so that the others that are going through it, because they will have already gone through it also. See, these people will not only be, sitting down and talking with these people, they will have already gone through the process. They will have already been re-atomized. And so these people won't know it at first, so the people will say, well, have you done this? And they go, well, yeah. Well, how do I know that? And we'll get people that will say that. How do I know that? How do I know that you've been through it? So, you show them a before and after. You show them your identification, say. And we're going to do a video protecting identities that go through the celestial chamber. And so if we need to, we can actually show a live video of them actually being re-atomized. And it doesn't show much. It just shows that it's like a wave of the hand. Everything changes. Their hair color, their skin texture, everything. And then 3 minutes later, they wake up, and we give them a mirror. They have their full memory intact. So when they wake up, they honestly think that they're the same age as they were. They have no anything, no idea. So then we show them the mirror. Are you ready to see your new self? Oh yeah, and some people be nervous about it. I don't know, how do I look? Well, see for yourself. And then they'll look at themselves and go, wow, that's unbelievable. This is phenomenal. Then people will cry, break down, and they'll just be absolutely exuberated, no pain, no diseases. They're not going to leave the body. They're just going through it. You talk about an enriching experience for every single one that is part of it. You cannot measure the gratitude that will come out of everyone in the love.
I can understand that. Wow. Oh, I would really love to be involved with the Celestial Chamber.
Oh, you will be. You're going to be.
Oh.
So don't even. That's a given. So.
And I didn't want to say anything until we get hydrated. But I really would like to donate for the Celestial Chamber. That's like the first thing on my list is to do that.
Well, we all know, all of us on this call know, and others know, and as it gets out there more and more, is that look at how many lives this is going to extend eventually across the planet. Yeah, I mean, it's just.
Yeah. My other question, Jared. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, my other question was, you had talked about how 80% of our is going to be used for humanitarian projects. Is this something that is going to happen, or that I'm not sure what you were talking about right there?
The structure's like this. And it's always been this way. It's just being made more apparent. Is that with this kind of wealth, the whole purpose of this wealth transfer is to rebuild the planet's infrastructure. Okay?
Correct.
So it's not about, it's not about individuals becoming exorbitantly wealthy. That's an automatic. So and people say, well, I'm not going to have much left if I have to put 80,000 in projects. Oh, really? Well, take 20% of what's left. It'll take care of you for thousands of lifetimes. So, the shift in the perspective, okay, is that people are worried that they won't have a lot. And I've talked to people that had that response. Well, what if I don't have enough to take care of myself after that? You don't have to worry about that. I mean, that's no-brainer. You'll look at it and say 80%. And even all the transactions currently happening on this planet, right now, in this now, are under that direction. They all understand. They're all committed to that direction. So it's 80%. So you'll get funds, okay, and let's say you don't have a project. All right?
Right.
There's going to be so many available that you can just pick one. So anybody that okay, I want to donate this. Now there's others. Can you imagine this? That nobody isn't going to be participating in projects on the planet that are first hydrated? That's not going to happen. It won't happen. Because what will happen is that if they donate, they can donate, but you got 80%. So how much do you want to give to each project? Okay? Well, how much do you want to give? So you go, okay, well, I've got 6 projects that I would like to donate to. And that would be, I would give 80%. So you calculate that. And then you'd go to these different people like you. They're not professional project, structurers or anything. It's just coming from their heart minds. They have an idea. They've got a platform. They're saying, okay, I'm gonna create my launch team. Or if they aren't doing a project, then they'll talk with people like you that are, and then they'll donate to them.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Much love to you.
Much love to you too, Jared.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
My screen went blank. All right. There we go.
Oh,
916-9116. Hi, Jane. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Thank you for all of that. That's really great information and advice. One of my projects, I have some others, but one of my projects was going to be working with Grey Wolf and some of the advanced technologies that will be coming forward. And I don't know what, a lot of those technologies are. But when you said that you'll have a plethora of things to pick from. Will it be some of those things? Like, for instance, the wand. I'd love to work with the wand because there's so many people that could be helped right now. You know, people that are in pain and have different issues, and maybe that wand could help them. So that would be
the CC wand is obviously our main objective is, of course, the CC first. Then we will do the wand, and anybody. This is the point. Anybody that has a sincere desire to become a participant in these technologies and other groups, because we'll be connecting with every group on the planet. All those who are in a stasis until they get their first transfers of funding. And then it's just going to all interact and work together. We're all going to interface. So there's not going to be a separatism, and a lot of them are on the same page that we're all planet. All the different groups that are situated for humanitarian projects or participation in different projects. So you'll have, across the board, we will have a listing of thousands of projects. Thousands.
Wow.
And they'll almost be endless. And so, different strokes for different folks. Some people will have an inclination or an interest. That really interests me. I'd like to be involved with it. I'd like to be able to do something with it, and whatever I can do. I have other people that say to me, how may I help? That's it. They just say, how can I help? I'm here to help. And that's such a good feeling. It's such a good thing. And to bring, and this is going to bring the civilization together for really the first time. And I'm not talking about everybody, because there's those that are asleep, and then, but all of us, okay, will actually assemble just a phenomenal group of people across the planet, and our whole direction is for our brothers and sisters. Because these are the technologies. This is whatever I got to make clear for everybody. That the people that, whether they're just going to donate, okay, whether they want to donate and become participants, or just come in and work with us and not donate because they don't have the funds to donate. So the point is that everybody that comes in our initial phases are going to be our launch team. These are going to be people that will learn from all aspects and avenues of the technologies. They'll be able to, maybe some will embrace just the replicator technology and want to be able to explain that to people as we go out into the field, because we're going to go out into the field. And that means you might end up in this country or that country eventually, but right now here in the States. And you might, some people, you'll have a replicator, and you'll go to someone's house, and it'll be a test house, and that individual will be informed, and they'll wait, okay, for the team to come out and deliver it. And then they'll orient them and talk to them about it, and as far as talking with other people and that type of thing. See, because understand something, and here's the danger element for everybody. We've got to understand something. We love our brothers and sisters. They're part of us. But they're not aware yet. They're not aware. So that makes things dangerous for those of us who are aware, and we have these technologies. So in the beginning, those of us who are aware will have these technologies, and we'll introduce them to certain people that they'll be able to use them. And you imagine this. Can you imagine, let's say, a replicator to somebody, and they just don't understand their responsibility. So they start using it, and they're instructed, and it's pretty easy. It doesn't take long to understand how to work it. And then they start talking with everybody and inviting them over. What does it do? What is it, a food processor? What does it do? No. Let me show you what it traffic straight, right? And they start picking things. Fran, what would you like? What would you like? You know, anything. Clothes, you know, jewelry, anything. What would you like? And then Fran tells you, and then bump, 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 there it is. Right before her eyes, it appears. Right? Yeah. And then, you know, Fran, go try it on. So Fran tries it on. Says, this is the best fitting set of clothes I've ever had in my life. I mean, I've had things tailor-made, and they don't even come close to this. Now, imagine if that got out. What do you think would happen?
Yeah.
If it got out amongst people in the community there, you'd have to go down underground somewhere and just claim literally. You'd have to be totally dishonest. Say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have anything like that. Okay. So it just sets an example that we understand that, and so we keep it close that are around the planet that have took it upon themselves to get ready, so to speak. And then when we have the first run of production units, we will literally send one to them, along with the structural applications, inventory, metal fabrication, energy supply, source, AI, everything, all of it. You know, all pieced apart, and then assembly instructions, and then orientation, and so on and so forth. So then they'll take it, they'll duplicate what we've been doing, and they'll take it, and then they'll be encouraged to advance it for the civilization. So we open source it. All the technologies are going to be open source, all of them. When people say, what does that mean? It means that we aren't going to charge an arm and a leg to give it to. We're going to give it to them. The only way we can get it to the people of the planet is by doing that. So you've got people that aren't greedy, that aren't manipulative, that are truly interested in making this transition of a God planet paradise. So that's what we're going to do. And then the core group that will be working with this stuff and these different technologies, like yourself and others, you'll find you'll shift into an area of interest that you look at as enjoyment, something that you really, really like to do, and that's the whole point. Now we're not going to be able to say you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. It doesn't work that way. Not in the new frequency. The way it works is that just kind of work around and see which one vibrates the best with you and that you want to embrace, and then we'll take it from there. And you'd be surprised when you get around a bunch of high frequency people. It'll be almost instantaneous. Period. Mm-hmm. No egos. Everybody leaves the egos at the door. I'm not no better. I'm better. I know more than you. I've got more sheepskin than you do. I know more about this. It won't be that way. It'll be a collective effort. And then everybody will be trained through pictures. Not equations, not formulas, but pictures. Period.
Oh, I love that.
So what will happen is that since I'm not a professional artist, okay, we will have picture creators. And they'll be orientated. They'll be shown units. They'll be shown prototypes, and they'll be. We've got prototype pictures of everything. So then they'll be able to, like, we have a team, right? They're in the team room, and so this individual who loves art anyway, okay, that's their joy. They'll go up and they'll start creating the picture for the technical team. I mean, they'll be finite too, detailed. They'll go in and they'll create the energy cube. That's the energy source for the unit. So you could put it out. You could put out in the middle of the woods in the Amazon rainforest and treat a whole tribe without ever having to worry running out of power. Okay. So they'll draw it and they'll say, this is energy voice, and they'll draw it and they'll say energy source. And then they'll critique it and see everything will be pictures. Because at this civilization, if we had started that way, and the Draco educational system didn't take hold, there'd be so many of us off this planet, we would be flying everywhere. We'd be at Mars, we'd be Venus, we'd be in other planets in the solar system, we'd be outside in the galaxy. I mean, we'd be everywhere. We'd have friends from all kinds of planets by now. And a combustible engine, you know how long that would have lasted? Probably maybe a decade. It probably would have lasted us a decade. And our advancement would be so fast because of the pictures. We're all visual. We're all visual. That's how we were designed. So we calculate everything through picture. You know that. When you look at when you see something, you take it in. You go, wow, that's really nice. I really don't like that color, so maybe I'd change that. Or, you know, I don't like this curve. Or I don't like this angle. But we all go by pictures. You imagine if you went on the internet, because when it first started, it didn't have any pictures. It was all digital. It was all numerals and stuff. But if you got on the internet and there were no pictures, no color graphics, nothing, how long would you be on the internet? Probably not long.
No.
Okay. Or you go to a restaurant, okay, and you have you smell, right? Or you look at the menu and they show you the different pictures. See, a lot of restaurants don't do that anymore. High-end restaurants, you imagine if they gave you pictures of the dishes, what people would do. They'd look at the picture and go, holy cow. And then over to the right, the ingredients were there, so they knew, you know, their diets and everything. And your stomach starts talking, and your heart starts moving, and you start breathing more, and you go, look at the sauce on that. What are the ingredients here? Okay, that's it. Look at how that meat looks, or look at how that vegetable dish looks. That looks absolute. I want that right there. Period. And see, we haven't been trained that way. We've been trained through words and equations, not pictures, on purpose.
Right. This is also exciting. I just can't.
It is.
Phenomenal. I'm all
it is.
I'll let you know that. I'm all in. You know that.
And you know, here's a good for everybody to understand. Here's a real good one, okay? You imagine this, you're sitting with a group we all, you know, like synergistic together, and we've all gone through the CC, okay? And we familiarized ourselves with the technologies as if they're like second nature. And we're all sitting and we're talking, and, you know, John says, John was 95, and now he's 30. And John goes, wow, I'll tell you what, I'm still getting used to this because I got all my memories, and I know I've existed in this life for 95 years. But every time I look at this body, I'm elated because I know I don't ever have to think about my body falling apart. I don't ever have to think about diseases. I mean, all that's been gone. It's gone, which frees me up to create, expand my imagination, and just have a ball helping my brothers and sisters. And I mean, it's just, you guys are going to be the pioneers. You know, that's it. You'll be the ones that will garner interaction with those who are just coming in, just now going through the celestial chambers, you know, or the CC1, or the replicators, or the time expanders, or all of it. Or the anti-gravitic, or the hyper-quantum anti-gravitics, and all of the different units and technologies. And it's just going to be, you'll literally move into an existence that's this totally, you leave the old world completely. You're totally disconnected from it.
So
You'll look at microwaves and we did that. I can't believe food.
Yeah.
We use low grade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we used to use paper and call it money. What the heck was that about?
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a big learning curve, isn't there, for everyone?
Yeah, it'll be fun. That's why we have the core launch group. Wow, that's a different story. That's a different story. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole different ball game for all of us. The rest of our brothers and sisters haven't woken up yet that are, still in bi-camera mode. Yeah, that's a different story. But it'll progress. It will eventually. Everybody, and I would say a decade from now, everybody will be using all of it. They'll all be using it.
It'll be like the iPad and hyper-steroids, how that took off.
Yeah, it'll just be, it'll be second nature. People will, let's see, single people, right, don't like to cook for themselves. You use a replicator, you got a gourmet meal.
Oh, I love that.
And you don't have a lot of time. See, you don't have to clean. You don't have to you put the dishes in the washer. You don't have to do any of that. You just say, okay. Now, you go look at the mess. Okay, so the mess goes into the deatomizer, right? And it disappears. It's gone. It's gone.
Awesome. I can't wait. That's so the thing you were talking about with us putting together the launch teams, is that sort of a training for us for what's to come?
Well, anybody who has their own project, they want to start a launch team.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay, that's what they need. They need to figure out what kind of people they would like to be with them that are going to be extensions of them. That's it.
I see. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but if your project was working with these advanced technologies, then that would be that, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Some people will participate in other people's projects.
Right.
And you can see the synergy there, because doesn't it make sense that those of us who are somewhat awake, we others, birds of a feather flock together. So we all work together as a team, and then you know what? You're working with someone else's project, and then you fill one of the launch team positions because of you like what you're doing. You like what you're doing.
I didn't even think of that. I'm glad you said that. You mentioned it.
Yeah. There'll be, the other groups on the planet. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, the biggest challenge for all of us is going to be people.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Exactly.
That's it right there. If we don't have the people, what do you think we're going to do? There's not a lot of us. There's only a handful of million of us. We got over 8 billion people on this planet, on the surface alone. So, how are we going to do that? Well, we stick together, we work together. We're the pioneers, the launchers, the launch teams, and then we bring others in and educate them. See, it's the only way you're going to do it. The only way you're going to do it. We can transition. We can transition people that came from the old structure that have skill sets that we can bridge, and you call it bridging skill sets. So you take certain skill sets and you bridge them over into other fields and areas. So you transition people that have certain skills that you could bridge over into other departments and areas, and they, as long as they enjoy doing it, and it's not, a real hassle for them. So, but yeah, it's really exciting because we've worked on this for decades for this time, so that it's not like we just started long time ago, even before we were in the bodies we're in now. So, and now we're all assembling and coming together. Yeah.
That's a great time to be alive, isn't it?
Yes, it is. To be in these bodies right now, no matter what we're being challenged with physically. Yeah.
Yes, it's a big woo-hoo. Well, thank you very much, Jared.
Thank you, Jane.
Fantastic. Bye-bye.
Much love. Bye. 816-0912.
Hello, Jared.
Is this Mary?
Yes, it is.
How are you?
I'm doing very good. Thank
Good.
you. I volunteered to be one of the Celestial Chamber people, to go to the Celestial Chamber and to assist. And I guess you still have those lists, is that correct?
Sure do.
Okay. And I sent you an email recently that my email had changed, and I wanted you to have my new email. I didn't get a response, but I assume you received that. And I know you probably don't know off the top of your head.
No, no. Yeah.
I know. But I'm very excited, even more than when I started this call, because I was thinking, I have to get teams together. I have to get a team together. I have to do this eventually. But just to know that I can participate and to help educate, after I'm educated, others on the Celestial Chamber and the other medical technologies, because that was my dream, is to start a center that had medical technologies to assist people, and that's always been my dream. But I'm not ready for that. But I am ready to assist and to learn, and I can't tell you how excited I am about this. So when will we get a list of the projects? Either after we exchange or...
Yeah, once everybody adjusts, okay, to the wealth transfer, okay, once those who do have paper, who do have bonds, once they've gone through the transactions, it's going to take people a little bit, to adjust and understand where, how their life is at that point, okay? And then, as everybody gets their ducks in a row, their personal affairs and things that then they'll be doing that and taking care of that. Once everything the smoke is cleared, dust is settled, then we will be emailing project lists out to the people in the CC who have thrown their hat in the CC, basically all the technologies that we have. Now, we'll coordinate with the other groups on the planet who are also carrying thousands of projects. Each one is spearheaded. They have primary projects that they must launch immediately for the well-being of the population. So those will be their crucial projects that they'll want to launch immediately and prioritize them as number one. They'll have a plethora of projects. I mean, in all categories, all areas. All right, and then people in all of our groups, all of us. Okay, you'll be able to see those. You'll be able to look and file through. And then maybe something will speak out to you, and you say, "This looks really, really interesting. I'm drawn to it. Maybe I can be involved with it some way, shape, form, or another."
Yes.
So there's going to be endless projects. I mean, across the board. Some small, some real tiny, some small, some medium, some large, some super large, some absolutely spectacularly large.
Right. Well, I can say that let's change and purchase my paper money. I thought about what I would do with it, and of course to donate. But donating or giving to others was my second concern.
Sure.
And now it's my first. That's the change. And I'm more excited about giving and helping
feel you.
Anyway, I don't mean to get so.
No, that's natural. You let it flow because everybody on this call understands. I don't know of anybody. I don't think anybody on this call doesn't get choked up at times. I do.
To this.
That's right.
These opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. Anyway, I have one more question.
Sure.
I had no idea what you were talking about when you were talking about the credit cards. I'm just, you said they're being expunged, and I have no idea of what was going on there. How does that happen?
The debt elimination has already been engaged on the planet. Okay?
Oh, okay.
That doesn't not mean a big, huge announcement for everybody or anything. It's very subtle. They've all been zeroed out.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that's happening across the board, or eventually?
Yeah, it's already engaged. Okay.
Right. Okay.
I'll tell you, the primer for that is when Donald, kind of took off for a bit.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Jared. And
My pleasure.
I'm just really grateful to have been on most of your calls, and learned as much as I have, and I'm eternally grateful. And I look forward, and I'm very excited for what's going to be.
Much love to you, Mary. Thank you. Much love.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, let's see. We've got so many people on that question, so obviously we'll have more of these calls, so do the best we can. Okay. 450-2729.
Hi, Jared. This is Marianne from Quebec.
How are you?
Can you hear me? I'm good.
I hear you as clear as a bell.
That's terrific. Oh, my God. I'm so happy to be on the call. Yay, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so quickly, I'm a retired teacher from last year. I worked with social services kids, teenagers from 12 to 17, multi-traumatized, and I really want to build them a school, a real good school with all kinds of opportunities and all that. But, I just left last year, and I don't know how much these schools have evolved since I've left, because they haven't evolved in the last 40 years. But I would like.
Well, see, Maria, if you look at your old world experience. That's what it is. It's going to be called the old world. Okay.
Yeah.
And the educational systems, the old world, and everything else. Now, you take your skills, you bridge them over to learning centers. Now, what are those? Well, those are where students can go under supervision and be given access to a technology that can kind of expedite the basics of their learning curves, as far as, just regular things like reading, arithmetic, English, spelling, the beginning basics, and then into an area where they can start learning immediately. And the teachers, the actual teachers that have had this, the student body skill sets, that their hearts are in the right place, they're awake, and so they will. That's another people that we will need to administer in these facilities. The children, the 1 through 12 type thing. they're guided, so they're not left to be able to access everything, so that they can access certain things that the teachers, instructors tell them, okay, Jimmy, we're going to have you learn this. Now, it'll download right into the cerebral cortex, okay? And so there's no punching holes or stickers or anything. And it's a frequency transfer, and it's a form of plasma, and it'll go, and it takes the information. It's like literally trillions of light frequencies carrying massive amounts of data that will go right into the cerebral cortex, where the brain will then extract the information into the memory patterns, into the synapses, and it will create engrams that will be burned into that, just like we do when we learn things, and the engrams are literally permanently placed. So this is the paradise, the God planet direction. So advisors that will be able to direct them on certain applications of learning immediately. So depending on their ages, okay, where they're at, there will be information that they will download that will literally awaken them. They'll begin to understand and they'll want to pursue who and what they are. See, because as you know, in your experience, that we were all in little bodies at one time. So and we're like sponges. So can you imagine what that will do for the civilization when those children are given the opportunity to have these downloads happen, and they embrace and expand? We're talking about creating geniuses at every stage.
Will there be a necessary transition towards that? Because you've spoken about this in the past, and I've listened, and that I know that's where we're going, and I'm anxious for all of that. But I mean, from where they are to that is like,
Well, yeah, that's true. But see, depending on the team member that will, they'll guide them. They'll guide them. Say, you can't just throw a bunch of you couldn't throw a bunch of kids with those technologies and say, here, sit in these and punch the buttons and pick whatever you want. Okay. So they got to be supervised. Yeah. So you and there's other teachers and instructors that have their heart, minds, their visions and their understanding, and this is some of the dreams that they've had. So they'll be team members, and they'll come in, and we'll have these facilities, and they'll be constructed, and we'll bring in the technologies, and those facilities will educate eventually will educate the entire population. Universities, colleges, and everything will go by the wayside. Now, people say, what about interaction? What about skill sets of communication interaction? All right. You imagine that you teach them, you download to them oratory skills. All right. Not being afraid to communicate, having heart-mind confidence, and it changes the whole ball game. So, what about people that want to read books? Read books. That stuff's all there, but you'll have an avenue to choose. You say, okay, I'm not going to spend 10 years learning this area. I have directions in other areas that I want to help and do this. I'm not interested in spending 10 years learning this. So you go in, and this makes a lot of sense. It will eventually to a lot of people. You go in, you pull up on the database on the holographic, and you pick the area that you would have had to spend 10 years of education in, and within minutes, okay, 15, 20, 30 minutes, you'll have already learned it. You'll already know it, say. You'll already know it.
is amazing. It just makes me dream because I've worked with what I had, and I've been able to realize things for some of these kids that the world is a difference for them. But this is bringing the whole thing way up beyond the sky. I want to give them that.
As far as you can imagine, it is.
Wow. Yeah, it's getting emotional. It's getting really good. I've been identifying.
Yes.
I've been identifying people that I call my ambassadors because I know we need people all over, and I've spotted people. I spotted a guy from Zimbabwe. He actually replaced me when I left, and he was born the month I started in 1971. So it was really cool.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I've had kind of points for people that I've set up, like.
Yeah.
I've been giving people different directions, and then they'll start to understand why that was presented to them. Like, guys, if you don't know how to network, how are you going to find people? So we set up a network program, and then they learn how to network, and they learn how to become creative and resourceful. So, see, every single thing I present on all of my calls are connected. They're all connected. It's an educational knowledge process that people either pick it up or don't. So.
Yeah. I remember asking that guy before I left. I said, "What would you do if you had $1 million?" He says, "I go back home and I start farming." And I said,
yeah. Some people are just going to go off and do their thing. That I want to work on wood. I want to do woodworking, right? I want to do this. Now I don't have the concern of the finances, so I'm going to do what I enjoy doing, and that is absolutely marvelous. That's just, and there's going to be people that'll do that.
And when you expand with such a question, because it's like beyond what they can think, it brings them exactly to their passion, exactly to what they really want to do. And
yes.
For me, in my mind, it rang the bell and said, "Okay, I found an ambassador in Zimbabwe," and it goes on like that. So I'm just spotting people in the past years doing that. Would you?
Well, something. You literally don't tell people what to do.
No.
You don't tell them what to do. You guide them to what they want to do.
Yeah, what they vibrate at. It's like, ooh,
yes.
This is what I want. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it starts to be structured from their response. Then you start structuring. It's useless to just have our own ideas when so many people have ideas. Many heads together is much better than one alone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what we're doing, that we've got 800-900 that got questions, but what we're going to do is I'm going to have more of these calls so that we can continue with the process with people getting acclimated on the next step. But thank you for your questions and your passion. Much love to you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Okay, guys, it is Monday, so I hope all of you have a wonderful night. And, of course, we will be back here for a Global Guide meditation call tomorrow. We're going to continue these calls until we may do them after hydration is full effect and taking place for the most part, so that anybody that wants to gain some insight or a little morsel here and there on these calls that they might want to embrace, fine. But it's just information coming from